Guys, be smart. Kick the habit. Put it out before it puts you out. We've heard these phrases 100 times, but the habit can be hard to kick. Our sponsor, Fume, is here to help. Fume is a natural diffusive device with an adjustable airflow dial and a magnetic ink cap. Their new version 2 model is snappy and tactile. Your fingers will always have something to do. Fume's had thousands of 5-star reviews from people just like you who found success when other solutions didn't work. Head to tryfume.com/Chael. Use the code Chael to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2 Fume to help kickstart your positive habits. That's tryfume, FUM.com. Use the code Chael. That's going to save you 10% off your entire order, or just click on the link below. Well, Aljo has given us a little bit of clarity here, right? We've had this up and down, this whole Henry Cejudo versus Aljo business, and it's been very hard to get to the bottom of it. At one point, that fight was done, according to Aljo and according to Henry. I mean, these guys were telling us, they were even looking at a date. And when March, but they had the whole thing figured out. At one point, it was even going to go prior to the March date into February as a co-main event to Volkanovski versus Islam. I mean, how's that for a memory? Right off the top of my head. Then all of a sudden, we find out that they're going to do the interim 45-pound belt, where Josh and Uriah are going to fight instead. And nobody tells us that Henry and Aljo aren't going to fight. You just kind of do the deduction on your own and go, man, they're not putting 3 title fights in Perth. And sure enough, the story starts to unravel a little bit, but we never knew who was at fault, right? And of course, guys are going to be pointing the finger. That's just how this game works. You're scared of me. You're scared of me. It's just one of the things you do. Well, no, Aljo came up. He cleared it up. He took it. He said, it's me. I agreed to everything in principle. I got time to sign the contract, man, and he's dealing with an injury. Shoulder. And he was talking about, it could take 6 months, but give me a break. There's plenty of fights to do. You guys go do them. That's a fair point. I mean, they've got 3 guys, and we want to see them all fight, right? Aljo, Henry, Suga Sean. But any order that you want to do it, we, the audience, is fine with. We've never really been bullish on the idea that it's got to be Henry in there for a championship first, and Suga Sean comes on for the winner, and we'll kind of keep an eye on Chito Vera and Sandhagen. Like, we've never really said that at all. So I think that Aljo makes a very fair point. He doesn't appear to care what's going to happen. By example, Henry, you and Sean go fight. I know how this works. They might interim it. They might. But don't act like I'm holding things up. If you guys want to fight so damn bad, go fight. I'll see you soon. Why do I have to go first? And I'm only sharing that with you because I don't want Aljo to look like the skunk at the garden party, because I don't think that's what he is. He's been very busy. He's been very active. I don't know that if you can't get Aljo and Henry together, that you could really blame it on Aljo when Henry is the one that has been sitting out for a meaningful period of time, and Aljo was just in the Middle East taking on a former world champion in Dillashaw. It does seem as though your motivations would be very different, right? And that's something, I mean, cry me a river, a guy doesn't get a fight for a world title. I understand that, but these are still human beings that still need motivations. Think about what Suga Sean has pulled off. Suga Sean can't get a ranking because he can't get a ranked opponent. You remember those days? Because they weren't that long ago. Suga Sean breaks into the top 10. As a matter of fact, number 10. He goes from 10 to 1 in the course of one match, which, by the way, was highly controversial in terms of the decision. We've never really seen anything like it. Nobody had ever gone 10 spots overnight. But particularly on the heels of a decision that had controversy. It's a very unique spot, and it's very awesome. Because now, the most popular guy has nothing stopping him. The haters now don't have any kind of a buffer. So Suga Sean is going to end up with Henry. I mean, you got to understand this from yesterday's perspective. If Suga Sean is going to end up fighting Henry, That means that Henry beat Aljo. That's what it means. And when Sean fights him, they're going 5 rounds and they're going for the championship. That's what that means yesterday. Now, it's not so clear. Sean could be fighting Henry. It could be 5 rounds, but there's no championship. If you win, you now win the right to get locked in there with the baddest dude alive, named Aljamain Sterling. I mean, it's a very different scenario. And it's one, put your mind on. You could focus with a good night's sleep, right conversation with the right guy, probably your coach, some kind of a mentor. Put your pants back on and off you go. No problem. But it is different. Can we agree on that? Things do change. Can we agree on that? The risk is a lot bigger. Can we agree on that? The reward is definitely not equitable. Can we agree on that? Right? I mean, it's going to require some real mental toughness. Now, how is Sean going to handle it? I was very curious because Sean's been pretty quiet. By Sean's standards, Sean has been very quiet. Sean has this whole chessboard laid out, but it doesn't mean he can get the pieces to go where he wants them. One of the pieces that he wanted was to be left alone until Henry and Aljo could be announced. Once that could be announced and signed, now Sean can go back into business. He's got a date. He's going to position himself. He's not going to be forgot about. In fact, he's going to be remembered. He's going to be number 1 contender. He's going to be training with. It was one of these spots that was very tactical and it was very smart, but it happened nonetheless. So what do if you're confronted with the idea that Aljo and Henry aren't going to fight? Well, Sean said, I'll fight Henry. That's what he did. And it was the perfect thing to say. Because I don't know if that fight's going to happen. Like the scenario that I just laid out for you, and I tell you it's one good night's sleep and one conversation, kind of get your head straight. That's for Sean. It's a little bit different for Henry. It's a little bit different for Henry, who thought he was coming back into a world title fight, whose motivation to return in the first place had legacy and history attached to it because he thought he was going to fight Volkanovski and have a chance for champ. So now he's got to deal with a younger nemesis from his home state who's got a higher ranking. Don't forget about that. I don't know that Henry has a ranking. But even if he does, I know it's not 1 because that's Sean's, right? I mean, it's a very interesting spot. And you're going to do this just because? It's a peculiar situation. But one of these guys is going to flinch. And it's outside of their control anyway. Which is why it was so smart tactically that Sean went right after Henry. Sean doesn't want to fight Henry. At least he doesn't want to fight Henry now. He's looking to the board and going, I'm probably going to get asked to fight Henry now. Fine, let's do it. But Henry hasn't said okay yet. Not that I've seen. And I'm just sharing, like, the mindset is a little bit different. It's a little harder to get around. The circumstances and the prize, it has changed. So where does this whole thing go from here? I mean, let's just see. But I think that Aljo's saying, hey, I've been real active. I've been real busy. I'm one of the You guys go do it while I heal my shoulder. That's reasonable. I'm glad that he told us. Tell us sooner rather than later. And let's get on with it. But who do you get on with it with? Do we look at Cheeto versus Sandhagen as the number 1 contenders fight? Or do we try to find something that can trump that? Which in my estimation could only be Suga Sean versus Cejudo.